All right, Shalom, giving all praises and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Kodash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, and wherever you may be, to I say, Shalom, Mashallah, Shalom. All right, we want to get into a little, I guess you could say, AI chat, maybe little various articles. Um, I don't have a real direct, just to see where the spirit takes us. But we're starting off with this avenue here. And as it we always get when we go into that 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, lest Satan in the Hebrew, the word of the name Satan meaning Shaitan, or is Shaitan, which means adversary, all right? So that's the adversary, Satan, Shaitan, should get an advantage of us, all right? Pull the wool over your eyes, all right? For we ignite ignorant. Ignorant means to not know, all right? Same thing has been, advantage been taken of you, all right? For we are not ignorant of his devices, okay? And so that's what we're going to talk about, all right? So as you see here, this is, well, it's not old as in, ancient old, right? It's 2025, but we probably heard about this. As a matter of fact, let me cut off my Bluetooth, cause maybe we'll end up playing a video. So that way, if we do, all right, I'm already cut off my blue. Well, I mean at the rhyme, but you get it. My Bluetooth. Okay. So in case we actually play some audio, we'll be able to hear it. But yeah, this is old, old but new. If you get what I'm saying. All right. It says Mexico's new biometric ID and cashless society. All right. And probably the title of this will maybe, I don't know, maybe something like what more needs to be said, or I don't know. I mean, because it's straightforward. Everybody hears, knows, sees. Is Mexico ready for the biometric CERP? What the heck is a CERP? Mexico's biometric CERP reform aims to unify identity. Whoa, hold on, I might have to click on that. October 7, 2025. This is recent too. Let me click on this real quick. Like I say, we're just going to flow in the spirit and go on this topic here. Major topic, because we're talking about the digital system, digital identification, and things of that nature. All right. We'll probably transition over to UK next, because Mexico is what I just saw first before we, push play or push record. And, we've all probably heard about UK by now. And what do you think is next? Okay, with also the addition of, things going on in China. But, what do you think is next? All right. At some point, Babylon the Great is going to be next. Okay. And these, this whole system is going to come here to Babylon, which is not like it's not already here, but I mean, like the UK is making it mandatory and things of that nature. All right. So you don't have your biometric identity, you can't work. Okay. If you look at how these people are acting now over the SNAP benefits. So when that time comes and they're given that choice, okay, what do you think they're going to do? So it reads, Mexico's biometric CERP reform aims to unify identity verification and support the search for missing persons, but faces major challenges in implementation, data security, and public trust. So they're leaning it off of, missing person cases, and they'll say things like crime, and but ultimately it's for excuse me, not security, but it's for control over the people, right? Being able to identify everybody, all right, digitally, okay. Digital readiness under scrutiny. Mexico currently lacks the system and regulatory framework to securely manage your biometric data, risking identity fraud and misuse if not properly addressed. As a matter of fact, let's bounce back over here. Let's read it. I thought it was something else. July 20th, August 5th. Oh, that's the CERP. That's the same thing we just saw. Let's click on that real quick. Let's go click on this. Okay.
Stripe helps optimize your checkout flow so you can grow your revenue and your team can focus on
Okay, so let's jump straight into this because something pretty huge just happened down in Mexico. It's got ripples going far beyond their borders, really tapping into these global chats we're all having about privacy, power. This isn't just some minor policy tweak. Feels like Mexico.
Yeah, privacy. That's what it's gonna boil down to. Nobody's gonna have any privacy because Esau, he wants to be God. Okay. We have to get some scriptures in a minute. But what was coming to mind just then was 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. In particular verse 4. All right. Because we'll probably start at verse 3. But he wants to be God. Okay. He wants the immortality. He wants to envision the world as the highest sees it. Okay, basically seeing all things, knowing all things, having control over all things. Okay, he has a God complex. He wants to be the Most High. All right, but let's but yeah, and he is going to deceive some of the people of the earth, which do include some Israelites, the 2/3, and he's going to gain control over them. All right, a lot of that gaining control is going to be by forceful pressure. Okay, lack of food, not able to work, can't pay your bills, can't feed your kids, excuse me, and other things of that nature. All right, and so he's gonna try to basically force you into his technology, and those that are not seeking the Lord now, where they have a chance to, all right, have a less of a chance of being delivered from that time. Okay, in that situation.
Mexico's taking a big lead, maybe launching the world's, most ambitious biometric ID project. What happens there? It's not just about Mexico. It could really give us a look into where things are headed digitally for, all of us.
Absolutely. And that's really what we want to do for you in this deep dive. Go beyond the headlines. We need to unpack what this actually means. Look at the facts, the real impacts, what's driving it underneath. Like you said, it's bigger than Mexico. It touches on these universal things: security, freedom, how technology fits into our lives now.
Yes, it's bigger than Mexico, which is the point I was making. We just starting with Mexico because it was the first thing that came to mind as I was on. I think I was actually on YouTube or wherever I was. It was just about 5-10 minutes ago. But yeah, security, freedom, all these things, how so-called technology fits into our lives. All right, is that not what Dr. Evil said? Okay, at his I can't remember if it was at the World Economic Forum or not, but where he says he's going to make a fusion of man and machine. What do you think that fusion is about? It's about implanting the people of the earth with their little electronic device. Okay, and like I said, we're gonna get some scriptures later, but we're just gonna roll with it right now.
Kind of amazing how one country's decision can shine a light on all that.
It really is. So let's get specific. On July 18th, just recently, Mexico basically flipped a switch. They took their existing population code, the CRP Unique Population Registry Code, and made it a mandatory biometric ID for every single citizen.
Mandatory being the key word there.
Exactly.
Yep, I said, we're talking mandatory. All right, meaning you got to do it. That's the same thing UK say, right? If you don't do this, you ain't gonna be working. Mandatory, right? It's mandatory means you got to. I always use an example. You at work, boss says there's gonna be a meeting tomorrow, and it's mandatory. Okay, so you got to be there because else you might end up getting fired, suspended, or maybe you're not scheduled. Enough days next week following that because you didn't show up when you were supposed to. But if it was non-mandatory, it's more so like we would like you to be here at this work meeting tomorrow or next Thursday, but you don't have to be. And majority of people, they're probably not going to show up because it's non-mandatory. You don't have to be there. We would like for you to be there, but you don't have to be. But mandatory means this is it right here. All right, you better be there. Okay, it's like this thing is.
National Digital ID card, essentially. It's got your personal details, photos, fingerprints, even iris scans, all bundled into a QR code. Now, the CRP itself, that's not new. It's been around since '96. But making the biometrics compulsory, that's the game changer. This was flagged in a biometric update article just last week, July 25th.
And the timeline they've said is Well, ambitious is maybe putting it mildly.
Right. They're aiming for a gradual rollout, supposed to be all done by February 2026. But get this, the Interior Ministry and the Digital Transformation Agency, they have just 90 days, 90, to create this unified identity platform.
A unified identity platform.
Yeah.
Basically, the giant central brain for all this biometric data, the database, the network, connecting everything, building that securely, getting it working nationwide in 3 months.
Yeah.
That's wow. That shows incredible urgency.
It really does.
And then there's the plan to collect biometric data from kids, from adolescents, within 120 days. That immediately brings up, big questions. How long are they keeping that data?
Right.
What about consent for a system that tracks you for life?
Huge question.
And see, those are two good questions. How long are you going to keep the data, and about tracking you for life? Well, that's you mean the question is answered. All right, within the question, they're going to keep the data forever, which is why they're collecting it. Everything's being compiled to a database right now, right? You got Palantir, with their surveillance systems and all these different things, and these people gathering data, and they're pretty much compiling information on people. So basically, when the whole digital side of things rolls out, everything that they compiled on each individual, all right, is going to be impossible for them to not know who this person is. Okay, that's the whole point of collection of data. All right, and they're going to keep it forever because the system, in their minds, of course, that the system they're going to roll out is going to be forever. They're going to be in control for their vain thoughts that they're going to be, and like the scripture say, that their houses shall continue forever, and their inward thoughts that their houses shall continue forever. So this collection of data is to identify everybody digitally, so there's no escaping. All right, the system, and it's going to be kept obviously in their minds forever.
Questions. Yeah, the scope is just enormous. And that's why for you today, we've pulled together a whole range of stuff, official documents, market forecasts, what people are saying on social media, even academic takes, trying to give you that full picture.
It's also really interesting how this fits into the bigger global picture. You see these market projections, right? The whole global biometrics market expected to hit over, $41 billion by 2025. So Mexico doing this, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's part of this worldwide shift towards digital IDs. We see it everywhere, smartphones, airport security.
Sure, it's definitely a trend.
Which makes you ask, is Mexico just catching up? Or are they actually trying to set a new pace for how fast a country can go all in on this?
Really, if you think about it, Mexico is actually up to speed because look how many places have not yet, even remotely made this transition as of yet. Okay, versus somewhere like Sweden. Okay, obviously recently UK. You could even mention China if you want to. So and then you got Mexico. So Mexico's actually ahead of the curve, okay? Because there's many other places that this same type of system is going to be established in all the places of the earth, okay? Because that's the ultimate game plan, to establish this place, not place, but establish that system across all the earth, okay? They got all kinds of crazy stuff like Starlink and everything's, what is it called? The Internet of Bodies, okay? So everything's going to be done digitally because that's Esau's so-called super power, his super weapon, all right, making everything digital because that's his way to try to gain control and access of everybody, well, not really everything, but everybody, okay, and control everybody.
Yeah, and you also have to consider the influence of international bodies like the World Bank, the IMF. Sometimes these digital infrastructure projects aren't just suggested, they're almost preconditions for getting development loans.
So it's not always just a purely domestic decision then. There can be external pressures.
Exactly. It can become this powerful push towards adopting these systems, which, maybe not coincidentally, benefits the tech companies building them and these global data networks. So is it really just Mexico deciding this on their own? Or is there a bit of a global economic nudge, let's say?
That's a really sharp point, the economic imperative. Now, Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, took office last October, first president of Jewish descent. She's definitely framed this new SureRP as key to her plan, Mexico. Focusing on sustainable growth, tackling poverty.
Right, the official narrative.
But, like you said, it's not happening in a vacuum, her election. Marked by horrific violence.
And mind you, this is talking about the lady over Mexico. Okay, she's a small hat. So what do you think? I mean, it makes sense, right? Where you would see a digital system being rolled out in Mexico. Well, like I said, this is not new. Most of us have probably heard about this already. I'm just making a point, okay? Because maybe someone doesn't know. Maybe you're brand new. Maybe need to be caught up to speed. All right. So of course, I mean, she's right in line with the system. She's a propeller hat. Okay. So of course you would see some kind of digital system roll out in Mexico when they put a woman who is a propeller hat at the helm of Mexico. Like, come on, man.
37 candidates assassinated just in that 2024 cycle. And the drug war.
Commercial. Gotta be. Here with it.
Watch what milk does to your eyes. Take a look at these two retina scans. They both look sharp, focused.
Cycle. And the drug war. It's still raging. Over 30,000 lives lost every year. So in that context, with the cartels having so much power, does a system like the CRP actually help fight crime? Or could it maybe create new problems, new ways for cartels to exert control?
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The huge dilemma. The government says control, efficiency, security, but...
And that's similar to what they're saying right now, you know, in the States, okay? Using the Biden administration to allow so-called illegals in, okay? And using the Trump administration to shut things down, okay? And pretty much their whole backdrop is based on what? Crime, right? We're losing cities. This city is that. This city is this. All right, crime. Well, wait a minute. You're making it seem as if Israelites are the only ones that create crime, okay? And they're not. In fact, the more heinous crimes are usually created by Edomites. But this is the devil pointing the finger at his sworn enemy. Going back to Genesis, man. Chapter 25. Okay, I was gonna say 27, but you know it's the same. We always mention both those chapters, but more so, 25 is a point chapter there where it talks about two nations, two manner of people shall be in the womb. Okay, separated from the bowels, right? And you know, there was gonna be hatred. Going back to Genesis 3. Okay, so I mean, you see all these different things. If you get my point that we're getting to. But Esau, his well, that's might as well call me. But anyways, Esau and his system of this current society is about to be, you know. Oh man, anyways, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, because Esau is saying that he's at the end of his society. Revelation 12:12, he's going to come down with a great wrath. He's at the end. Okay, same thing it says Job 14, right? That his days are numbered. Okay, he has a bound that he cannot pass. All right, so in order for him to go down, you know, because he's just he's a demon little kid, basically. Okay, the childish little kid, the kid that you know, if I can't rule, nobody's gonna rule. Nobody's gonna rule. Nobody's gonna rule over me. All right, and so he sees that he has a short amount of time to try to pull off his enterprise, and so that's why he's moving the way that he's moving, quickly, sloppy, and so on and so forth. But his time is short, man. Okay, and you know we're not far off from a great persecution, which I have. I was trying to wait for it because I'm going to shoot it if I was going to read it anyways. Because I was probably going to use the AI thing for another question maybe, but we may pull it up. Let's get some more of this first.
History, especially in Mexico, suggests these very powerful non-state actors, the cartels, they're incredibly adaptable. They find ways to work around systems or even exploit them. Well, think about it. Cartel influence runs deep, historically. Despite crackdowns like arresting thousands by 2011, the violence continues. They control chunks of the economy, territory, act like parallel governments, in some places extortion, influencing elections. It's pervasive. So when this mandatory ID system comes along, there's immediate public skepticism. You see it online, right? People on X, like at Huckleberry or at Hume probably too.
And that's why they're trying to use gradualism. All right, they're trying to work the people. Like they've been working the people anyways already. Okay, you know, you got people with this Apple Pay and Google Pay and all this kind of tap stuff, even on your credit and debit cards. You know, you can tap it. Okay, digital identity stuff is coming out, biometric ID and all this kind of stuff is coming out more and more. And ultimately, it's just going to lead up to the micro okay, which the next thing that's going to be tapped on a screen to make purchases is going to be the person's hand, okay, with the device inside of them. See?
Openly wondering if the cartels will just be exempt or maybe even in on it somehow.
Wow, that level of cynicism.
It reflects this deep distrust in institutions. And that's a massive hurdle for the government trying to roll out something so personal and pervasive.
It's a chilling thought, really, that a tool meant for order could be twisted by the very chaos it's supposed to fight. And the timing is interesting, too, isn't it? Right after Sheinbaum takes office, while these big talks with the U.S. are happening, deportations, trade stuff, the Wilson Center, you know, that policy forum in D.C., they noted Sheinbaum's focus on the USMCA trade deal. It makes you wonder, could there be data sharing plans baked into this, linking CURP internationally?
That possibility definitely ramps up the privacy concerns. Groups like R3D in Mexico, they focus on digital rights. They've been very critical. Their main point, lack of transparency. Who exactly gets access to all this incredibly sensitive biometric data?
And that's a fair question anywhere, given the history of data breaches.
Absolutely. Someone on X at Fredelmida25
And see, that's a question that these people don't have, all right? It's the bankers that are going to have, you know, access and control of all this, you know, information and stuff like that, okay? They're compiling this stuff together for themselves, okay, to try and rule the earth. Let's go and just pop up UK here. They still got articles on this. 1 day ago, Keir Starmer's digital ID dream is already a real nightmare. Thousands of protesters marched through London streets against digital ID plans. Let's see what that's talking about here. 2 days ago. I don't want to accept none of it. Let's see. You know what? Is that the same? No, I don't think it's the same thing. Or is it? Yep, it's the same thing. All right, cool. Sky News. Let's just go over here to the Telegraph. Wow. Okay, there we go. So let's see what this says here. Security guarantees to the public about one login are worth nothing. Huh? Okay. Oh wow. Do I gotta can't read that one either. Okay. All right, so let's just go over here and just gotta be something, huh? That's actually a video, I guess. Let's see if it plays.
I'm Mr. Frightmore. Welcome to Frightmore Academy, where every home...
What if I told you your phone is about to become your ID, whether you like it or not? Well, it's all part of a controversial government plan to try and discourage illegal migrants.
Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
Well, the government says digital ID will be compulsory for everyone in the UK, but you won't actually have to use it, to carry it, or show it to anyone unless you're applying for a job. The ID will be held on your phone, like the NHS.
See, they make it sound, so I'm not saying this lady in particular, but they make it sound so, yeah, you know, like you don't need, unless you're, you know, applying for a job. Well, wait a minute, the job is everything, all right, to these people, okay? Because the job is where they generate their money, okay? And I always mention that. Two major weapons, which Esau is not just going to, but he's already utilizing, is your food. Well, I mentioned food, but hey, look at the SNAP benefits. Like how people are acting right now with the how people are acting now with the SNAP benefits. But I always mention that, don't I? Food, okay, and money. You need food, you need your sustenance to survive, but it's not free. You have to purchase it. How do you purchase it? With money. Okay? And then the money is going digital. Now, on this particular angle here that we're speaking of it, okay, well, they still need food to survive. All right? But how do you get the food? You got to buy it. Well, in order to get money, you got to work. Well, in order to work, you got to take the device, man. So they're setting it up lovely to make the final transition, all right, to where it's going to be the mandatory implementation of the RFID micro CHIP. See? Because it's gonna be the same thing. It's just gonna be the CHIP. You need food to survive. In order to get the food, you're gonna need money. But money is digital now. So how do you get the digital money? You're gonna have to take their CHIP. But if you do that, the Lord is going to destroy you. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11. And before he destroys you, Revelation 16 and 2. All right? The grievous sore. Okay?
Chess app or a bank card, and it'll include your name, date of birth, nationality or residency status, and a photo, and possibly your address as well. By the end of 2029, you'll have to show it to your
So that's what we just talked about when we were talking about Mexico. All right? You're going to have all this personal information. So there's not going to be a denial or misunderstanding that, oh, this is that person there. See? Facial recognition, all these different things, all this data compiled up about you. Excuse me. It's going to be no denial that you are this person. And the ultimate level of that data collection is going to be the CHIP. Because now everything's on the CHIP and they're the ones who have access to it. You see?
employer to prove you have the right to work in the UK, or they could be prosecuted. The government says it'll also make life easier when applying for services like driving licences, childcare or benefits. All European countries have ID cards. Some of them, like Estonia, have digital ones too. Identity cards were brought in during the First and Second World Wars, but they were abolished in 1952. Former Labour Prime Minister Tony Blair tried to reintroduce them 20 years ago, but the plans were dropped by the coalition government because of concerns about cost, privacy and civil liberties. Digital ID wasn't in the Labour manifesto at the last election, and the then Home Secretary denied looking at the idea last year. It's opposed by the Tories and Reform, who say it's a gimmick which won't stop the votes.
I do not see a single benefit to the government having digital ID other than them controlling what we do, what we spend and where we go.
And mandatory ID is opposed by the Lib Dems too. Contrary to previous reports, the government isn't going to be branding it a brick card.
What we do, what we spend, other than them controlling what we do, what we spend, to the government having digital ID, other than them controlling what we do, what we spend and where we go.
And mandatory.
What you do, controlling what you do, what you spend, and where you go. That's the ultimate end game to the CHIP. They control what you do, and they add on to the social credit scoring system, so it makes it casts the illusion that life is a little bit easier because if you do this thing, hey, your credit score will be just through the roof, man. All right, you got all these kind of things you can do this, do that. If you don't, if you do these things, these are bad things, so don't do these things, or they'll drop your credit score. Okay, casting the illusion that hey, life is actually good with this device here, but ultimately they're controlling your spending, where you spend it, and where you go, because if they don't deem you to be able to go somewhere or do something or board a plane, train, whatever, all right, they can shut you off. Okay, and so if you happen to get past a place, you don't boarded a flight somewhere you weren't supposed to get on, okay, and they find out, they can shut you off. You're gonna touch ground, okay, in the new place, and then find out that you have no funds, that you're stuck here. You can't do anything. You can't go back home. Okay, they're not going to turn your device. Who are you going to contact even? Turn your device like because you can ask them, well, how's it going to work? Well, it's not going to work. They're going to be in total control, man. It's not going to be a robotic service where you're going to call someone and say, hey, man, my chip's not working. Can I talk to somebody? Oh yeah, we'll put you on a hold for a minute, sir. Okay, nah, man. If they shut you off, they shut you off. Okay. And, once again, the ultimate message is to the Israelites. So, it's not about the heathen nations, whatever, but to the Israelites, all right, to seek the Lord now so that you can have a hedge of protection and his spirit be upon you to deny this system. Because this is the hour of temptation, like it says in Revelation. The hour of temptation. The mandatory implementation of this RFID micro CHIP that will give them full autonomy over every aspect of your life from some remote location, because they themselves will not be taking it. It is for the rest of the world. But if you trust in the Lord, he will protect you from taking that device. Okay? You put it on your spirit to deny it. Okay? Those that love not their lives to the death. But it says digital ID cards, we pause that for everyone. Is this the end of digital privacy for UK citizens?
Mandatory IDs opposed by the Lib Dems too. Contrary to previous reports, the government isn't going to be branding it a brick card. The whole idea is hugely controversial.
Employers already have a legal duty to check people's right to work. That doesn't happen in the black economy, and there's no reason that digital IDs will make that happen. If somebody's going to work for 20 quid a day in a kebab shop, they're going to do that digital ID or no digital ID. Nobody voted for this. This wasn't in the Labour manifesto. And I think there are millions of people in the public who will say, I will simply not do this. This is un-British. We are...
And an entirely digital system also roots out money they can't trace, okay? Drug deals, they can't trace that. Jackleg mechanics, they can't trace that. Whatever, other kind of deals, trades, purchases, all right, they can't be tracked and traced. Well, if everything's digital, it all goes through them, okay? So they're seeing with every it's like in the Matrix where you would have Tank or Dozer or whatever, the new guy, Link, whatever guy from whatever movie you might want to watch, but the guy that sits and watches the system, okay, from outside of the Matrix, okay? So he can click and pull up everything that's happening everywhere and see what's happening here. Oh, well, this is different. Or that guy's code is different. Or this happening there. Or I see Neo, he's flying there and there, he sees everything, all right? That's how the system is, okay? Where they're able to see where every single dollar has been, is going, how it's spent, how often it's spent on this thing, whether or not they want to restrict it, or based on what a person is doing, going to the social credit scoring system again. All right. So all this is basically a system of control. All right. And that's what it's about, because they don't have any reverence or respect or fear for the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashar Shah. Okay. They think themselves to be in complete control of this earth and think to maintain it forever, not understanding that they've been gifted this earth and it's only for a season, and we're in that season.
We are not a checkpoint society. We don't carry papers, and we don't like this sort of thing.
So, is this the end of digital privacy in the UK, or a smart tech solution to the problem of illegal migration? Do you think it would even work? Let us know what you think.
And it says down below, it says crowds of protesters have marched through London streets, rallying against government plans for digital IDs, because a lot of people are not okay with this. Whoopies. A lot of people are just not going to be okay with this ultimate system. Okay, now this digital UK thing and all that kind of stuff is one thing. But we're talking about the ultimate time of testing, the micro C hit. There's going to be a lot of people, all right? You're going to have Israelites and non-Israelites who just not going to be okay with the system, okay? That just is what it's going to be, okay? Just going to have people that are just not okay with the system. And they're going to get dealt with properly, okay? Whether it's punishment, put to death, or try to force them to change their mind, or whatever the case may be. But then you also always have the crowd that's always looking for something innovative and new, keeping up with the Joneses, getting wooed by the word convenience or new technology and stuff like that, and they're gonna walk right into the system, okay, willingly. It says thousands of demonstrators controlled by strict police conditions chanted and waved banners along the route on Saturday, which ended at the heart of government Whitehall. And mind you now, this has a date of October 18th. Okay. Well, I wish they would show us the protest then. Yeah, the Prime Minister announced in September that a digital ID system will be introduced in 2029 and would be mandatory for people working in the UK as part of a bid to tackle illegally. That's what they're hinging it on, illegal immigration, okay? And as we said before, what's going to stop this from moving over to the US, which is what they want anyways? But there has to be other places that's tested out in, see how these things go, trial runs and things of that nature. Wow. It says an advert for the protest on the website of organizer Mass Non-Compliance said, if you accept digital ID now, it may be the last real choice you ever make. And it's not entirely true, but if you take the next level of it, which is the CHIP, that may be the last real choice that you ever make, okay? Because you can always decide to not work, Okay, you take the digital ID, sick of it, you can always decide to not work. But if you take the C-HIP, doesn't matter what you decide. Okay, the Lord's going to deal with you at that point. I saw something. This might be the end. Yeah, that's the end of that article. I think I saw something. Yeah, but anyways, as a matter of fact, let me back up. Okay, so I was here. Yes, the digital license is optional and designed to complement, not replace, the physical driving license. All right, let me pull up this real quick. Let's do this because I had this. I don't know if I'm gonna read it all. Probably not gonna read it all. Which is a typical question that I knew. I just wanted to see what AI would bring up. Did the ancient Roman citizens riot against Nero Caesar? All right. Which the first question was against its Caesars, which I already knew they did. And then I went back and I narrowed it down to just Nero. Okay, which of course I knew they did. But there's a reason why. It's actually short. Maybe we'll read it all. So it says ancient Roman citizens that did riot against Emperor Nero, particularly during and after the Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE, and later due to his perceived misrule and extravagance. Okay, the initial years of Nero's reign, 54 to 59, were generally considered positive, with reduced taxation and a more stable administration. However, his popularity began to decline due to his increasing interest in the arts, perceived eccentricities, and a growing paranoia that led to treason trials and executions. Okay, now I'm not saying DJ Nero is on this type timeline yet. Okay, but he is that cruel lord. Okay, but it says growing paranoia that led to treason trials and executions. And ultimately, if you narrow down to what's most important, all right, the word of the Lord, the ministry, okay, that's what they're going to try to do to us. Okay, frame us. All right, those that frame the mystery by law, they're going to try to frame us. Okay, by their laws, by their deep fakes and things of that nature. Okay, and just outright deeming us terrorists and the wicked and evil and against this, that, and the third thing. All right, and it's going to lead to what? Treason trials. Okay, and ultimately also executions, beheadings. All right, people that are going to face the guillotine. Okay, but it will be for the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai's name's sake, which means that is a righteous path to take. Okay, as a martyr for this truth. Even what's that? Revelation 6, verse 9. He saw the souls of them under the altar, asking the Lord how long before you avenge us. See? So that's a righteous path because you just end up with the rest of the martyrs, right, under the Lord's altar, the souls under the altar. Okay? But yeah, growing paranoia that led to treason trials, okay? Excuse me, and executions, okay? Tried for treason and your punishment was execution. A significant turning point was the Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE, which we know about that. What did Nero do today? When stuff was going on, he was golfing, all right? So while the exact cause is debated, rumors circulated that Nero himself started the fire to clear land for his lavish Domus Aurea, or Golden House. Okay, wow, Golden House is what it's called. And what did Nero say today? That he wants to build a golden dome. Anyways, but at the same time, you have just like Nero then, you got Nero now, putting the blame on the Israelites. So you can't really make this stuff up, man. Or to provide a dramatic backdrop for his artistic performances. Despite Nero's efforts to organize relief and supplies, the public largely believed he was responsible, making him public enemy number one. To deflect blame, Nero scapegoated the early Christians, really Israelites, subjecting them to, which, they mocked us by calling us Christians, but you get the point. To deflect blame, Nero scapegoated the early Christians, subjecting them to brutal tortures, and executions, with which ironically garnered some sympathy for the Christians and further damaged Nero's popularity. Okay, Well, in this time, you're not going to have anybody with sympathy for us. Okay, everybody's going to be against, the men of the Lord on down, all the faithful believers. It says that in Ezra, right? 16, a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Okay, nobody's going to moan for us, right? Those that are of the household of faith. And, it's very possible that some of us are going to see, tortures, brutal tortures, it says, and executions, which, mention of the guillotine. That's mentioned in Revelation 20 and 4, which ironically garnered some sympathy. Okay, so we read that already. Further discontent arose from Nero's extravagant spending on rebuilding Rome and his personal indulgences. And this is what we mentioned when they first announced him, the next president, and he gave his presidential speech, and he spoke about being what? An expansionist president. Now, don't we speak about that all the time? About when the country is because America is always talking about they ain't got no damn money, but every time you see they got billions here for that, billions here for there, billions here, I'm gonna get to this country, billions on this, billions on weapons. Because how the hell are you making all these missiles if you broke? You making $1 million missiles, one missile that costs $1 million or plus, but we broke. Okay, they pulling the Mitch on everybody. I'm broke, baby, while showing the ring on every finger. Okay, which is now saying that everybody doesn't have debt. Everybody's got debt, but you get the point I'm making. America is always saying that they don't have money, but they're always spending and giving away money. Okay. It says further discontent arose from Nero's extravagant spending on rebuilding Rome and his personal indulgences. And that's what he's doing right now. Okay. Nero is talking about expanding Babylon. Look what they're doing to Venezuela right now. Okay. Look what we just talked about that. What they did to Mexico. They got we're not saying that he was the reason behind that, but I'm just making a point. All right. They got a propeller hat over Mexico. Okay. They're bombing up Venezuela. Okay, and there's just someone everywhere doing some everything. Okay, eating everyone else is an errorist, but they just go do things flat out. All right, that's why the scriptures call them the hammer of the earth. But he says he's going to roll them down from the top of the mountains and make rocks and make them a burnt mountain. Okay, but let's keep reading. On rebuilding Rome. Okay, so what's the modern day Rome? It's Babylon the Great. All right, America. And his personal indulgences, because it came back up from the Renaissance period moving forward, which led to an economic crisis, including the devaluation of coinage. Is that not happening now? All right, he is single-handedly, of course, by script, but he's single-handedly allowing the American economy to get more and more worse by the day. Okay, every week something's more terrible than the last thing. And then it says including the devaluation of coinage. And it's not the American dollar, inflated, okay? It's almost to the point where it's worthless. But that's where the whole digital system comes in. His public performances as a singer and athlete, considered unbecoming for an emperor by Roman elites, also fueled resentment. And he's self-centered, right? He likes the attention. Trump likes to talk, and he likes to be heard. Okay, by 68 CE, widespread dissatisfaction culminated in open rebellions in the provinces, notably led by Julius Vindix in Gaul and Publius Sulpicius Galba in Hispania. Okay, what do you see happening today? Nothing under the sun. You got people rising up because of what? Because the current state. All right. They're unhappy with the current state of this society, and nothing's being fixed. But things are getting worse, though. See, the Praetorian Guard, losing faith in Nero, declared loyalty to Galba. Yeah, that goes back to all the history, because you go into the 12 Caesars. That was happening. The Praetorian Guards come up often, not for every single one, but they come up often. And you see a lot of backstabbing and stuff like that happen. And that's what it says in Revelation 6 and 4. They were given a great sword to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And they did a lot of that in the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, this person made friends with that person. Next thing you know, that person will set that person up so they can become Caesar, or they'll backstab and assassinate the Praetorian Guard. Yeah, there's a lot of madness going on, okay? The Praetorian Guard, losing faith in Nero, declared loyalty to Galba. Okay, which after Nero, okay, is what spiraled everything into chaos, because that was what 68 when Nero self-deleted. Okay, and so you had the year of the four emperors come into play, where Galba being the first, I think he ruled for 7 months from 68. Okay, he ruled from 68 into January of 79, right? And then you had Otho, who reigned for 3 months. So that's February, March, April. And then you had Vitellius, all right, who reigned for 8 months. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, which lines right up with who came next. Vespasian. Vespasian took power in December of 69. He reigned for 10 years straight, marking the Vespasian dynasty. Okay, the was it the name of it? What was the name of it? I think it was Vespasian dynasty. I slipped my tongue right now, but yeah, he reigned from 69 to 79, and in 70 you had that great event where he sent his son Titus, 70 AD. Okay, to persecute Jerusalem, persecute the Israelites. Okay, and what is Nero doing now? Okay, he is persecuting Israelites, northern and southern kingdom. The Praetorian Guard, losing faith in Nero, declared loyalty to Galba, facing imminent capture and humiliation. Nero committed self-checkout in June 68. There you go right there. See, June 68. Because from June, that would be July, August, September, October, November, December, January. See, that's the 7 months we just mentioned, because Galba came into power after Nero. Okay, because everything was put into unrest. Galba came into power, and then in January 69, he's moved out the way by Otho. And then Otho out the way came in Vitellius. Vitellius out the way came in Vespasian. See? Facing imminent capture and humiliation, Nero committed suicide in June 68 CE, marking the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Okay? So yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Grab a couple of these CHIP scriptures, why not? Instead of closing it right out, because I can't really think of it. I mean, it was just a random lesson there. I'm trying to think of anything else. We probably could have looked up China's such credit scoring system, maybe Sweden. Oh, there's something I want to look up. Let me read this real quick, because I don't want to forget it. Because this is what this is all about. This is the next big thing, okay, that we're looking for. Revelation 13 and 16. So you got to get very familiar with this if you're new. And he calls with all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in the forehead. And that word mark in the Greek is charagma. Okay, and it's going to that device, the implantable device under your skin. And the scriptures tell you to make no cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Okay, we're not supposed to make a covenant with these heathens, and different laws that basically are directly against you receiving this. And one of the main things is idolatry, because if you take this, you have forsaken the Heavenly Father Yahweh and worshiping these Edomites as your idol, your God, or your provider, your everything. Okay, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So those that are not down with the system, which is going to be the remnant. Okay, yeah, we did mention those that are going to buck up against it, but they're going to be dealt with. But we're talking about the hopefully like remnant. Forget everybody else. All right, the Lord's going to have His Spirit upon His remnant to deny it, and some of them, some of us, I should say, may actually have to be martyrs for this truth. Okay, but that's okay. That is a glorious, walk for Yahweh Shema Shai's name's sake, and for this ministry, and for what we fight for, which is our Lord's kingdom. Okay. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 scoring 6. 666, which will be embedded in the UPC code of all their devices which they want to implant inside of you. And that is how you defile the Lord's temple. 1 Corinthians 3:16. Know you not that you are the temple of the Lord? Okay. We had physical temples back then where heathens could walk in and defile, all right, and upset everything. But this time, the only way to defile the third temple, which is a spiritual temple, a spiritual house, is you have to let him inside, which is by way of his device. Okay, so we're warning you about these things over and over and over, so that you're built up in the Lord, all right, in your spirit and your faith, and hopes and trust of protection. Have your spirit, deny that. Okay. So like, I stopped talking. I don't want to forget what was I want to punch up. Give me 2 ticks. I'm gonna think. No, I should have just punched it in so I can get it. Man. Oh yeah, that's what it was. So here's something that I saw the other day. Which it wasn't really new to me. But one thing that was new, because they spoke about a patient. Actually, it wasn't Synchron. It was Neuralink. Okay. A patient that was actually in Canada. If I read over that, I don't remember. But it struck me as new, and wherever the case may be, it's still in the line of this AI chat anyway. So, how many patients has? We'll get Synchron real quick. Synchron implanted. I remember doing this a day or two ago. Of course, these research things, it goes away. All right, because it's just Google. See if it'll give us some similar answers. Synchron has implanted, as of October 21st, 2025, Synchron has implanted its brain-computer interface, its BCI, in a total of 10 patients across various clinical trials. This includes 6 patients in the U.S.-based COMMAND feasibility study and 4 patients in the first in-human switch study conducted in Australia. All right, so the COMMAND, they say, U.S.-based. The COMMAND, all right, is U.S.-based, and switch is Australia-based. Then it says the COMMAND trial, which recently completed enrollment, is being conducted under the first investigational device exemption awarded by the U.S. And we always wonder, all right, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, why are you playing a part in digital, workings? Okay, but it's all because they're all one of the same body, man. These people are all the same people. But it just, makes you think. Food and Drug Administration, like, why are you playing a part in this? For a permanently implanted BCI, it says the primary goal of this study is to assess the safety of the minimally invasive endovascular procedure used to implant the device into the blood vessels of the brain, as well as to evaluate the efficacy of the Synchron switch neuroprosthesis in patients with severe paralysis. Results from and that's that left hand side. All right, these line signs and wonders. Okay, give you use of your legs, back, limbs, eyesight, and all these different things. All right, these are demonic happenings on the left hand side. Okay, witchcraft. Okay, by means of their technology. Results from the COMMAND study are anticipated in late 2026, following 12 months of post-implant follow-up. It says the earlier switch study, which involved 4 patients with severe paralysis, demonstrated that the first generation Stentrode neuroprostheses could transmit neural signals, from inside a blood vessel in the brain over a long-term period without serious adverse events. Participants in this study were able to use the implant to control digital devices for daily tasks such as texting, emailing, and that's the key one right there, and online banking, because everything's going digital anyways. Soon come. All right, one notable patient, Philip O'Keefe, who suffers from ALS, used his Synchron BCI to post a tweet in December 2021 showcasing the device's ability to restore communication. More recently, in September 2024, a patient in the U.S. successfully used the Synchron BCI to control Amazon Alexa, enabling hands-free smart home automation. This patient, a 64-year-old male with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, utilized his thoughts to interact with Alexa-compatible devices, performing actions like turning lights on and off, making video calls, and playing music. And there's a lot of people in the world that think that this is amazing. Okay, ooh, I can do this. Ooh, I can do that. Ooh, lights on, lights off. All right, ooh, I can open the door with swiping my hand. I can pay with tapping my hand. All these different things. All right, convenience, and they're just leading you, away to a trap. Synchron's BCI, known as the Stentrode, is implanted through a minimally invasive endovascular procedure via the jugular vein avoiding open brain surgery. It's jugular vein of all things, right? Just going right for the jugular. This approach is a key differentiator from other BCI technologies, such as, which we're going to look up next, as Elon, hoping that I find, the same, or at least similar to what I saw before. This Elon Musk's Neuralink, which requires direct implantation into the cerebral cortex. The Stentrol detects and wirelessly transmits motor intent from the brain, allowing patients with severe paralysis to control personal devices hands-free. The company was founded in 2012 by Professor Thomas Oxley and Professor Nicholas Opie. I don't really care about all that. Synchron has received significant funding, including investments from Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, right? And its technology has been recognized with awards such as Time's Best Inventions of 2021. The company also launched a community-centered BCI registry in April 2024 to connect patients, caregivers, and clinicians, clinical people. All right. So let's go back and modify this. Get Neuralink. As of October 21, 2025, Neuralink has implanted its brain-computer interface device in at least 5. This is not right. This is not right, because yesterday it said 12 people, man. Okay, 12 people and one in Canada. All right. Let me do this. Okay, so AI want to play now. Okay, because they're not gonna give it who is it. I just want to ask the question. Hopefully they can bring up what I'm looking for. Who are the 12 patients of Neura? I think I spelled it wrong. Neuralink. Oh shit, it's like Neuralink to to receive it, whatever. As long as we get what we're looking for, okay. Because there were 12. It mentioned 12. See, now they're not giving me what we saw the first time. Okay, okay, let's do this. Who is Neuralink's Canadian patient? See, now it says 2. It says 1 yesterday when I looked at it. Not only that, it said 12 patients. I think it said from U.S., Australia, and 1 in Canada. But now they're saying 2 in Canada. See? So chat knows the answer, but chat just want to, not even chat. What do you call it? AI. Okay. Anyways, let's see what it says here. Neuralink has implanted its brain chip in 2 Canadian patients as part of the Canadian Precise Robotically Implanted Brain-Computer Interface, CAN-PRIME. All right. Study. Both patients are young men living with cervical spinal cord injuries. Their identities have not been publicly disclosed, but they were described as remarkable individuals by Dr. Andre Lozano, the lead neurosurgeon for the procedures at University Health Network. The surgeries, which took place on August 27 and September 3rd, 2025, at Toronto Western Hospital, marked the first time Neuralink operations were performed outside the United States. Okay. The goal of the CAN-PRIME study is to evaluate the safety and functionality of Neuralink's implant and surgical robot, aiming to enable individuals with quadriplegia to control external devices using their thoughts, which we just talked about. Within minutes of the implant, one patient was able to control a computer cursor and play video games simply by thinking about it. A lying sign of wonder, and then they try to spruce it up because it says within minutes they were able to do things that they couldn't do before because of a tragic accident or because they were born this way or whatever the case may be. All right? Well, I gotta mention my Green Goblin first. We attack the heart. Right? They play on people's emotions, man. See? And that's all they're doing with this technology, playing those people's emotions. Or you're wheelchair bound, or you have ALS, or, whatever, all right? So going on, it says the Neuralink implant consists of a transmitter attached to ultrafine threads that record neural activity. These threads are so delicate that a surgical robot is required for their precise insertion into the patient's brain. Okay, the electrical signals picked up by these threads are then wirelessly transmitted to Neuralink application, which decodes the brain activity into actions, such as moving a mouse on a computer screen. This process often utilizes artificial intelligence or machine learning models to interrupt brain signals. The Canadian trial is expected to enroll 6 patients. See? Growing. And when I saw it before, I believe they had like 6 or 7 patients. And then next thing you know, like a month later, it was already up to like 12. So it goes to show you that the last patient that he had it was a back-to-back thing. They moved rapidly with it, all right? Rapid dose, right? They move rapid with it, okay, very quickly. And now, and like I said, I probably read over Canadian patient, but if I did, I mean, I just don't remember. But it caught my eye, okay, like because it said patients of U.S., Australia, and Canada. Notice that it's not mentioned Australia, or at least it hasn't mentioned it yet, but it has mentioned Canada, okay? Trying to see where did I leave off it. Okay, I think I read all that. Yeah, this process often utilizes over. Yeah, I think I read that. So the Canadian trial is expected to enroll 6 patients, with recruitment still open for individuals with limited or no ability to use both hands due to cervical spinal cord injury or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. The patients will participate in follow-up appointments and research sessions to learn how to use the devices, while the technology holds significant promise for improving the lives of those with paralysis. Okay, that's the 2 Thessalonians 2 we mentioned, the lying signs and wonders, man. Its implementation has also raised ethical questions among some doctors and bioethicists, I guess. Bioethicists, I don't know. Never even seen that word before. Particularly concerning the involvement of Elon Musk's Neuralink transparency. Despite these concerns, UHN has stated that participating in the trial aligns with its responsibility to pursue advanced care for patients with limited options. I just want to see what this word means real quick. I don't know what the heck that is. Professionals who study and address ethical questions arising from advances in biology and medicine. They examine the moral implications of new technologies, medical practices, and research, often focusing on issues such as patient rights, informed consent, genetic engineering, end-of-life care, and equitable distribution of healthcare resources. Their work involves analyzing complex situations, identifying conflicting values, and developing frameworks or guidelines to navigate these challenges in a way that respects human dignity and promotes societal well-being. Okay. So, as a matter of fact, I'll end it with, because we didn't ever get that, 2 Thessalonians 2. All right. So, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except they come and falling away first. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, talking about Esau. These Edomites, they've been revealed, all right? And as they're being revealed, it says that a shameful spewing is going to be on their glory. Okay, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the highest, or that is worshipped, so that he as the highest sitting in the temple of the highest, showing himself that he is the most high. How does he do that? Okay, by way of his digital system and implanting it inside Israelites. Okay, but the main ones are the remnant, which, if we don't know who exactly the remnant is, all right, he doesn't know. Okay, we're the hopeful elect remnant. Okay, so ultimately it's just him moving forward with his plan of persecuted Israelites, because the Israelites as a whole are the problem. Okay, the those that he doesn't deem necessary to be here, he's going to deal with, and those that are here, All right, he's going to try to get them, which he's not going to try. He's going to get them to take his device, which puts them under their control, which ultimately they're going to be destroyed anyways. Okay, well, let's keep going. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Okay, so we know now. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now let it will let until he be taken out of the way. To the Most High Yahweh Bashem Shah takes these Edomites down. As we quoted earlier in Job, man. All right, that there's a bound that they can't pass, and their hands are not going to be able to perform their enterprise. They're gonna pull it off, but not to the extent that they think. Okay, and that's in their own vain thoughts and their opinions. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. The prophets are shouting them down now, but the Lord's going to come and deal with them directly. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. That's Esau, who's like Satan on the earth, okay? With all what? Power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. They're going to believe Esau instead of Yahweh Shem Shah by way of the mouth of the prophets, which is why they're also going to join together to come against us, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. And as a matter of fact, I'll close with this one in Proverbs 1. Okay, at the bottom of the chapter, it says, they were none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. All right, once again, through the prophets, beginning with apostles and on down. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. All right. So that's pretty much it. Just just rolling the spirit, a little chop it up session. Okay. Just talking about all this digital stuff here. Okay. So yeah, Lord willing, you edify. We're gonna say shalom.